Welcome everyone to episode 6 of Progress with Pagano. I have a very special guest here today. He is a social media superstar, also a superstar realtor, and we're going to be going over everything from building your brand online, going over how to build a social media audience, and how to create content on social media and think of ideas for your social media. So without further ado, I have Navid Aberg.
You good? You beat Aberg? Yeah, you're good, man.
Aberg. Cool, man. How are you?
Everything's good, man. Got a good week so far. Came off a good Memorial Day weekend, so
awesome.
Yeah, nice.
You do anything? Good for the holiday?
Took the baby camping. We've been camping with him before, but he's a year old now. He crawls around, so we had to test drive it because in another weekend we're going for the full 2 nights. So we'll see.
Nice.
It went well though.
I think I was talking to you before about this. You were on you used a special app, right? There's a new app for camping.
Yeah. It's like Airbnb for camp. So it's called Hip Camp. This particular location was somebody's property. They bought a house with a bunch of land. So set up 4 different campsites, and he rents them out for like $60 a night. It's a good way to bring in some extra dough.
That's awesome. Yeah. Cool, man. So. Tell us how you got started in this social media, because if you look up your name, obviously, you're SEO, you're all over the internet. You look up your name on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, you're all over everyone's feed. Like, I've seen you on my For You page. I'm sure a lot of you who are local in Philadelphia or in real estate in the Philadelphia area have seen if you come up on your feed. So how did you get to that point, and when did you start seeing the traction coming on your social media?
Yeah, so it probably all started right at the beginning of COVID, when everything was shut down, right? Everybody was like, what am I going to do from home to keep myself relevant? And on Instagram, I just started posting stories about everything. Most of it was me and my wife cooking at home and just doing random stuff. And then it kind of molded into like restaurant reviews. I was going, where could you get great takeout right now in Philly during COVID? So that was how I kind of just got on video. Before that, I don't think I even really knew what to do with a story. I didn't even know that they existed, but people were like, you got to stay relevant. So got onto video beginning of COVID and didn't really turn it into like, how do I do real estate video until maybe a few months after that. I ended up taking a short course. Giselle Ugardi, shout out to Giselle. But she started doing this thing for all sorts of businesses. How do you get on camera and how do you talk to your audience? It's molded into that for particularly just for real estate agents, because she realized that all real estate agents want to be on video, and like not very many of them are good at it, or just content in general too. It's not just video. So yeah, that was pretty much my start, the whole restaurants and cooking thing.
Awesome. So really it's been 3 years in the making, pretty much.
Yeah. I don't even remember when COVID was. Damn.
I'll never forget, because everyone, it was like a big meme, 2020. The worst year ever, 2020.
Right. So yeah.
Cool, man. So, and how long have you been in real estate for?
I actually started in the summer of 2019, so not even very long before the whole COVID thing happened. At that time, I kind of just jumped into it as a part-time thing because I was still working at the hospital as a nurse. I came to Penn for nursing school from California and just left my job in July of 2021. But I dipped my feet into the real estate thing in 2019 before I decided to just like go all in. So yeah.
So tell us about your background. So are you from Philadelphia or?
So I grew up in California, and everybody always says like, "Why did you leave? You came out to Philly. We got weather. You're not used to it." But truth of the matter is, I didn't get into the nursing schools in California that I applied to. I did an undergraduate degree in Santa Cruz, biochemistry, molecular biology, and after trying several things out post-college, I was like, shoot, I need to do something different. I had a girlfriend who said, I'm going to go to nursing school. And I was like, shit, you're on something there. Like, I don't want to put in the time for med school. The reward wasn't necessarily there for me because I like people. I love you doctors as well, but nurses deal with people really well. Like that's their bread and butter. Doctors are very smart, scientifically oriented. They do have good bedside manner. Not all of them, but I wanted to be a nurse at that point. And so started doing the studying for certain courses I had to take and then the prerequisites, whatever. Long story short, I applied to a bunch of schools and didn't get into anywhere in California, but I got into Penn and Hopkins. And
wow.
the reason I chose Penn was when we came here to check both schools out. We were in Baltimore. It was rainy as hell. And the next day we came to tour at Penn's campus, got on the train, popped out at 30th Street Station. It was always sunny in Philadelphia. And I was like, this is the place I need to be. So
awesome.
That's how I got here.
Awesome. Wow. So how would you say living in the West Coast versus the East Coast, like what a major difference that you've seen?
I mean, the biggest difference, obviously, people are going to say is weather. Another one is money from California. It's so expensive to live there. I was in the Bay Area, next to Apple headquarters, pretty much. So imagine what real estate's doing out there. But yeah, you get used to like the weather aspect. You actually learn to appreciate the better times of year, because like if you have summer-ish weather all the time, like you don't love when it's not summer. But here we deal with the winter, the harsh winters of Philly, you know. No snow at all this year, I don't think. But you live through that to get to the other side. We got like very gorgeous springs and falls. Summer kind of sucks unless you're sitting inside in air conditioning, but hot, humidity, it's not for me. But again, we deal with it.
Yeah, we deal with it for sure.
Yeah.
Cool, man. So, all right, let's get right into it. So, if you're a total beginner, right? Let's just say you don't have to be a realtor, but you're in some sort of space where you want to promote your business. What would you say, finding content creation ideas, like how would you even start? Like if you were to wake up tomorrow and you were fresh, like you had no following, you had all your followers on TikTok, everyone was gone, how would you start fresh? What would be the first thing you would do?
If you're absolutely brand new to everything, the best thing to do is just document everything, right? I think where a lot of people steer themselves wrong is that they want to just post about like all the good things that they're doing, right? I'm going to use real estate just specifically as an example because I am a real estate agent. But when you go to people's Instagram pages and you see the just listed, just sold, just photos, stock photos of the house, and then you with your key or whatever like that on the post, like what is that, right? You're just promoting yourself. That's all. Who am I and what am I doing, right? Nobody wants to see that. It's not personal. It doesn't tell any sort of story. It just says like, pretty much, I'm full of myself. Look at how much business I'm doing, right? As a newer agent or somebody just getting into whatever business it is, documenting your journey is going to get you way more interaction, followers, obviously likes, followers, and stuff like that. Those are the vanity metrics that people look at when you probably shouldn't. But that's going to get people to realize who you are, right? They're going to be there with you as you're learning things, as you're failing at things, as you're succeeding at things. But you're presenting yourself as a person, as an individual, as a human, right? It's not just about the business. It's like, who am I and what am I doing and why should you care, pretty much. So yeah, document everything.
Document everything. So that's great. So you would say building the journey, right? Right. So let's say, how do you get past that point where you're starting to build your brand up? How do you pick, like, you have a certain style of your videos, right? Like you're going around, you're showing your local market, right? I feel like a lot of your videos, you're showing local market and you're giving a lot of content and value. You're providing a ton of value. So would you say when you're finding your initial like niche, right? What did you try different things? Like what worked, what didn't work? Like how did you find that thing that you kind of stuck with and you kept that style?
Yeah, so honestly, I am still evolving. But the best thing to do for anybody is to just try a bunch of different things, right? Like even right now, I'm on my TikTok. Sometimes I'll post a video walkthrough of a property. This is what $315,000 will get you in West Philadelphia, right? And then you post something else, like this is what's happening in the city. One time I showed this development near the waterfront in Fishtown that got knocked down because whatever. They were demolishing it because it had to be demolished. And that was just kind of like a, oh my gosh, what's happening kind of video. And you post different kinds of things and just see what are people watching, what do they like, and then you continue to produce that kind of content. Like, even if my videos that say like $315,000 gets you this in a certain area of the city, even if those don't hit, I'm not going to stop doing them because I am a real estate agent. I want people to know I'm a real estate agent. So you have to kind of sprinkle everything in there. But you try to focus on things that people are going to find value in, either educational, entertainment, because you want them to keep coming back, pretty much.
Going back to building up this journey, right, and finding yourself and finding the content you want to create, how would you go about finding the next thing? How do you evolve? Because you mentioned the word evolve, right? So what kind of experimenting are you doing in your content creation, and what kind of new stuff do you want to try with your own videos?
For sure. Again, experimentation is the big word, right? You don't know what's going to work for you until you do it. I think that's an important spot to make a point real quickly too, that like you should make stuff that's right for you, right? Like don't copy what other people are doing just because you think that that works, because it may not work for you, right? Right now we're actually seeing a resurgence of like more basic photo posts, or people making more raw footage, raw videos, because every real estate agent and their mother who wanted to create video started hiring somebody to pretty much make the same style of video, where it's a talking head video, they got the microphone like they're on a podcast, right, and the words going across the screen, right? Mm-hmm. Like, because that's what people were doing. And now everybody's just saying, oh shit, everybody looks the same, right? So you don't ever want to follow what other people are doing. You want to find what works for you. In terms of my experimentation and what I choose to do next or whatever, some of it comes down to like, what do I want to see? And some of it comes down to what do I think other people want to see. One of the biggest things that I'm been working on and continue to work on is that hook, right? Mm-hmm. Especially for the platforms like TikTok and Instagram, when you've got Reels videos. It's interruption marketing. Nobody's scrolling their TikTok For You page looking to buy a house, looking for a mortgage lender. They happen upon you somehow because you're doing something that draws them in. So they always talk about the hook. They used to say like the first 3 to 5 seconds. It's literally the first second. Like if you're not catching their attention in that first second, they're just going to scroll past you, right? You have to interrupt them in a certain way. So I've adjusted what I'm putting at the beginning of my videos. Sometimes, like the video that I did with the demolition at the waterfront, the first clip of the video is just the homes being demolished, like one of the walls being torn down by whatever, a bulldozer. For people to just be like, wow, what's happening? And then I get into what it is. So yeah, the hook is really what people need to work on. And I think that gets lost a lot of times. A lot of times, again, going back to the maybe people are a little bit selfish kind of thing, nobody needs an introduction from you, at the very beginning at least. Like if you want to tell them who you are and why they should listen to you, because I'm Alex and I'm a mortgage advisor, that's okay. But don't put it at the beginning, because they don't need to know who you are at that moment. They need to know what value you're going to provide them.
So you would say the first 3 seconds are the most important thing. If you're thinking about making a video, the first 3 seconds you need to have down.
Yeah, and if you could do it in the first second, that's definitely better. But yeah, the first little bit.
And you'd mentioned before, that it's kind of the same cookie cutter stuff you see. Someone will hire a company and they'll kind of just like sit down and go out and do like 20 clips at once. Sort of the kind of format, right?
Yeah.
What do you say to the people who are like, well, I don't have time. Like I'm out showings, I'm out meeting with clients or referral partners. Like what do you tell those people who say they don't have enough time and that they're just going to hire someone to do it all for them?
That's tough, right? There are companies that exist that you don't even have to do anything yourself, right? Like they'll put together the cookie cutter post with the caption, and people are using them because they feel like, why not do that instead of doing nothing at all? But in all actuality, when you put, I'm going to call it garbage, like that out, you're losing on the algorithm because people aren't going to come back to it. It's not going to be fed to people. Instagram may even know that everybody's all putting out the same stuff, and they might say, like, we're not going to show that to other people. But if you're going to do batch content creating, I don't think that's a bad thing if you're still creating your own video, having somebody do the editing, because that is better than nothing, because that's still you. They're getting to know your personality through the video. They're getting the education value from you through the video. But it's not going to be, it's still probably creative, but it's not going to be as organic or as like, this is me and this is my life, as like, hey, I just walked out of a closing and this crazy thing happened and I want to tell you about it right now, right? Like that's a very particular situation. Like they're going to get to know you in a different way.
Yeah. I think it's so important to do that too. Like, I don't know, personally for me, some of the most creative moments I have is I'm just walking. I go down, I see something cool, or I see, like, especially being in Philadelphia, walking around, there's so many different things you see all the time. And begin to notice before, there's a new business going there, or they're building a new house here, or there's something new in that park.
Yeah.
There's just so many ideas you have just by walking out of your front door and going for a walk. And if you don't live somewhere like that, you could always go to your nearest town or somewhere where the population lives in your local area. And people are always dying to see more and learn more and consume more, especially at the place that they live or are looking to live.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. And the important part is when that thought comes through your head, you have one of two choices, right? You make your video right then and there, or you write it down, put it in a note on your phone for the future. But if you put it in the note app, you got to make sure you go back to it and do it, because I've got like 100 ideas in my phone right now.
Yeah.
And I probably just continue to add to it and don't as often go back and like actually do it.
So how much would you sell that list for to a viewer on here today?
Yeah, I'll give it to you for free, really. Because again, like my content, no matter what, if I say to another real estate agent, let's go make a video about X, they're going to be completely different, right? Because we both have our individual perspectives on things. We have different personalities. Our audience is going to see us in different ways. Like some people may want to watch me over somebody else talk about the same exact thing. It just is what it is. But that's the whole nature of the beast, right? Is your vibe attracts your tribe. So like, again, be who you are, do the things that you think you want to do, and the people that should be coming to you will come to you.
Wow. So what you put out is what comes in.
Yeah. And if not, like if you put something out and people talk shit about it, or whatever, somebody else says like, I would never work with that person, then don't. Like you don't need every buyer out there. You don't need every borrower out there. You just need the people who want to work with you. And that's who we're looking for.
I was talking to someone who's also in the mortgage space, and they also make some videos, and they were complaining to me like, I get these comments from spam accounts. Like people who just will go on, make an account on TikTok, and they'll just troll people. Every single video they see on their For You, whatever, they'll just write a bad comment.
Yeah.
It's like, for every 10 of those, there are, way more people who are actually interested in you, like what you're saying, and want to work with you. And those trolls and those people are purposely commenting. And most people they scroll and they don't comment. Like, most people don't even like the video.
Yeah.
But you will have the person who sees your video, likes you, and will follow you, and you could eventually work with that person and build that person as part of your network.
Absolutely. And to go back to that thing, if you get those comments, like the best thing to do is to reply to them some way, somehow, because that's all feeding the algorithm too, right? They don't realize the more that they comment their nasty comments, they're generating more views, more watch time, and that further pushes your content to other people because now you have engagement, right? And they don't get that. They're just there to talk trash.
So speaking of the algorithm, right, and you kind of, you're learning this, right? I feel it's an ongoing process even for everyone to kind of figure it out. Like, I feel like when people say, like, especially who are, I see a lot of people who are like, oh, that's how you grow your TikTok. Like, I master the algorithm. I would say it's, unless you work for TikTok or know the actual algorithm or any platform, it's impossible to master it, but you can kind of get a good sense of what works and what doesn't work. So what would you say is like one of the most important things you can do to work the algorithm, or some of the most important things?
For sure. I think the most important thing to do when it comes to the algorithm is not try to work the algorithm. Really. Because there are things that will always work, or maybe just one thing that will always work, and that's if you're providing value and content that people want to watch, it's going to get fed to other people. So doing tricks to work the algorithm, adding hashtags, irrelevant hashtags are okay as long as they're not spammy, like those kinds of things. There's no reason to try and follow those trends because they could change next week, right? Instagram, TikTok, they're also constantly evolving themselves, so no point trying to figure them out because they're just going to change the next week. Just put good stuff out there.
Love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Quick, what's your favorite restaurant in Philadelphia?
Oh my gosh, you can't ask me that. Oh boy, and I'm supposed to be a foodie realtor too. If I were to pick one restaurant to go out to tomorrow night, it would be Soraya. Yeah, it's just a fantastic experience all around. Amazing Lebanese food, probably the best hummus I've ever tried. They make this fresh bread out of the oven. You can keep asking for more of it to dip into all of their little accoutrements. But yeah, I love Soraya.
Well, if you haven't been there yet, you have to go there and make sure you mention Navid that he sent you there.
Yeah. Please do.
Cool, man. So what are some of your goals? I know we're almost like halfway through this year already. I know, isn't that crazy to believe? I feel like this year just started.
Yeah.
What are some of your goals ending out this year and going to the second half of this year? What are some things you want to accomplish?
So I'm currently actively trying to get back on my feet with regards to my YouTube channel. Haven't made a video in over a year. I did film something yesterday, but this is one of those things that happens to a lot of people out there as well, but it hit me particularly hard. Imposter syndrome. You're doing the thing, you're getting feedback, some good, some bad, and one day you wake up and you're like, what am I doing? Why am I making content? Nobody wants to see it. Do I actually have value to provide? Same thing again with the whole podcast thing, right? I'm like, what do I have to talk about? So that's been a battle that I'm actively getting through and getting over, I think, because I loved making that video yesterday. I can't wait to have it edited and all that stuff. But in terms of the rest of the year, obviously I want to sell more houses. My goal for the year is 30 units. I'm at 13 right now. But the market's going to dictate a lot of that, I think, because interest rates just are what they are, and we're all hoping that they're going to come back down. But interest rates are keeping sellers from moving and keeping buyers from buying a home that they wish they could afford more of, So that's one of my goals in terms of work. And then, just like being able to be who I am in my business, be who I am in real life, spend more time with my son. I'm coming up with this non-negotiable. I've been doing this for a bit. When he gets home from daycare to the time he goes to sleep, I'm not going to leave the house to show a property. I'm going to try not to pick up a phone call unless it actually has to be picked up. But that's my measure of how I'm doing. Is does my family feel like I'm supporting them and they're happy with my involvement, and then am I also able to put food on the table? My wife owns her own business. She also puts food on the table, but am I contributing as much as I want to from this business that I gave up nursing and free healthcare and all that stuff too? So
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And do you want to shout out your wife's business?
Yeah. My wife Katie, she runs a business called National Kids Gym. She basically it's a mobile gymnastics business where she goes to daycares, schools in and out of the city, the suburbs, but she does like 30 or 45-minute classes. She's got a few different coaches working for her, doing the same thing. They just come, they set up shop, and yeah, they'll do birthday parties and stuff too. So National Kids Gym, you can find them on Instagram.
Make sure you give them a follow, guys. Make sure you give Navid a follow too. Man, I really appreciate you. Thought this was awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we went over a lot of stuff, and we're gonna have you back again too. And I would say my biggest takeaway from this is be yourself. Go out there, put out the content, and don't focus on one thing. Experiment, see what works for you, and just be yourself.
Absolutely, man. That's you in a nutshell. That was everything. But again, the most important thing is that you are an individual, and the people that you want to work with you are going to find you if you put yourself out there. Don't try and be anybody else. Don't just post the just listed, just sold. Like, those are great things to celebrate. Maybe even get a video testimonial from your clients. But you are more than just a real estate agent or whatever business you're in. You are a whole human. So show them everything. A little bit about your life, a little bit about where you're going at night. Full picture.
Love that.
Thanks, man.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me. And we'll do it again sometime.
Absolutely. Awesome.
Cheers, man.
Thank you, guys. Make sure to give us a follow.